Hello everyone. We will be presenting the topic of the constitutional debate, the Federalists versus the Anti-Federalists, starting with a political scene of the colonies after the Revolution. The period following the American Revolution was characterized by major instability. The monarchical rule was over, leaving various questions about how the young country should establish its new government. Furthermore, one should understand that the French Revolution played a pivotal factor in putting into action the American Revolution. Therefore, it was inevitable to see the influence of the French Revolution on the establishment of the new American government. The Treaty of Amity and Commerce between the colonies and France, in which France had recognized the colonies as an independent nation, argued that the two nations should unite in facing their common rival, Britain. However, the French Revolution caused a series of wars known as the Napoleonic Wars, which caused America to adopt a neutrality policy as it was unprepared to be drawn into a European conflict, although it relied on trade with both France and Britain for an economic growth. It is also important to note that after the American Revolution, regional differences between the colonies were created. Colonies were growing separate from one another. In short, this period was characterized by the emergence of major insecurity, economic problems, and the major dilemma in the history of the United States of how much power should the government hold. This question leads us to the first document in the history of the American nation as an independent country, which is the Articles of Confederation. The Articles of Confederation was America's first plan to govern itself. It served America from 1781 to 1789. It was characterized by limited power due to the trauma caused by the monarchy. It is considered as a reaction to the tyrannical rule of Britain. It was also described as a firm league of friendship due to how limited in power it was. Reasons it failed was that it was so weak. For instance, it could not collect taxes, it could not declare war, it lacked power to regulate commerce, which made the trade with the foreign countries insecure. It also lacked a central leadership, and its major problem was that the consent of the 13 colonies in order to pass laws cost the young country a lot of time in order to operate as an independent nation. For instance, it took 4 years in order to ratify the Article of Confederation itself. Also, its major problem was that it did not establish its major aim, which was the union between the different states, and it had many negative consequences such as Shy's Rebellion. The latter was an armed uprising in western Massachusetts, and it is a perfect example that made people aware that a stronger government was needed. We can also spot the Articles of Confederation's weaknesses in the struggle of holding the states together. Since it was very weak, it couldn't fulfill its main task, which was holding the states together. As a result, the states were growing separate from each other. However, the 13 states were suffering from many common issues such as debt, an economic downturn, and the fear of other rebellions like what happened in Massachusetts. These common factors taking place in many states simultaneously played a pivotal role in reminding the states of their previous alliance during the revolution. Thus, a common opinion was shaped and argued that a stronger government should be established, a government that protects the people from both the tyranny of power and of people. Towards this purpose, many plans were suggested, such as the Virginia Plan and the New Jersey Plan. However, it wasn't until the states agreed to meet and solve this problem that the country saw some positive change. The first meeting was the Annapolis Convention. It was Alexander Hamilton's idea who advocated for a stronger national government. Therefore, he called for a national convention to solve this problem. However, only 5 states sent delegates to attend the meeting, which took place in 1786. The conference voted for a convention of delegates from all the states to meet in Philadelphia the next year. There was little hope for the Philadelphia Convention to actually take place. However, the news of Shi's rebellion spread far across the states. This fear of more rebellions was a turning point that convinced the states to grow more united. The next meeting was the Philadelphia Convention. Delegates from all states except Rhode Island, because of the same reasons of fearing a tyrannical government, sent delegates to attend the Philadelphia Convention and address the problem of the weak government. The convention voted for Washington to preside over the states. It was also decided that each delegate would have a single vote and that major decisions would require a simple majority, not the consent of the 13 colonies like they did in the Articles of Confederation. The Philadelphia Convention leads us to the Constitutional Convention in which the Constitution was born. In 1787, delegates met again in Philadelphia to revise the Articles of Confederation. However, after many discussions, they decided that the articles weren't enough to achieve unity between the states. Thus, they decided to address this problem. It is also important to note that these delegates are referred to as the Founding Fathers. They were well educated, held an important status in society, and they owned a significant amount of property and money, which was something very important at the time. Hence, they were respected and trusted with the decision of the American faith. This convention resulted in writing the Constitution. The new Constitution was much stronger than the Articles of Confederation. It divided the government into 3 branches: executive, legislative, and judicial. This article was a turning point in the American history as it divided Americans into 2 categories: Federalists and Anti-Federalists. The Federalists were those who believed that a central government was needed. They supported the ratification of the new Constitution, and they believed that a more national government with greater powers was necessary to unite the individual states and to create a stronger country. On the other side, we have the Anti-Federalists, who opposed ratification and believed power should be concentrated with the states rather than with the federal government, as the central government reminded them of the tyrannical ruler they had just overthrown. They worried that a stronger federal government would be prone to tyranny and that the new constitution did not include adequate protections for the rights of the individual and states. When we look into who is the Federalists and who is the Anti-Federalists, we can already spot some key differences between them, and these key differences are summarized into the one idea of being in favor of the ratification of the Constitution or being opposed to the ratification of the Constitution. That is to say, that the Federalists advocated for a stronger national or central government. However, the Anti-Federalists argued for strong state governments with limited national authority. Key Federalists included men like Benjamin Franklin, Alexander Hamilton, and James Madison. In the other side, we have John Hancock, Patrick Henry, Richard Henry, and Lee George Mason. It is also important to note that the Federalists were not in favor of the Bill of Rights, and the Anti-Federalists needed the Bill of Rights in order to accept the Constitution. The Bill of Rights was ironically proposed by a Federalist who is James Madison. It was the first 10 amendments of the Constitution, and it was created for the purpose of ensuring that the new government would not abuse its new power. It was a topic of major debate. Some argued that the idea of specifying individuals' rights would limit those rights in the first place, while others feared that without such protection, the new national government might abuse its new authority. The Constitution approved the Bill of Rights and the Federalist government was established. The Bill of Rights was the turning point that convinced the Anti-Federalists of the Constitution and kind of appeased the tension between the two parties. Though the debate between the two parties had been intense, the Anti-Federalists and Federalists saw a solution to self-governing. Since independence was followed by years of misty confusion, that is, the Articles of Confederation failed to unite the 13 colonies, as the government was weak and had no power to pass laws or collect taxes. Hence, the establishment of a more powerful and centralized government was inevitable. The Articles of Confederation's weaknesses had proven that the nation needed a more powerful and centralized government, in which it would gain more control and unity over the 13 colonies. In other words, the establishment of the new constitution resulted in opening the debate, as the Anti-Federalists believed that the constitution would give the government too much power over the states and it would harness it in the pursuit of control of individuals and their liberties. However, the turmoil had soon come to a clearing. The ratification of the constitution witnessed an agreement between both sides, as the Bill of Rights was created. In short, despite the Federalists being the winners of this debate, the Anti-Federalists played a significant role in this equation. In other words, their opposition to the Constitution led to the upbringing of the Bill of Rights, which would preserve the rights of people and prevent a tyrannical government. On the other side, the Federalists achieved their aims, a more powerful government with a constitution. A unity was established between the states, and the confusion and rebellion after independence had finally ended. All in all, the federal government was established to protect people from both the tyranny of a government and from the people as well. I hope this presentation was clear enough, and thank you for listening.